You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
About 20 years ago, I worked in a grocery store and I had a creep encounter that was kind of interesting. I thought I'd share it.
He is wearing the Meta AI recording glasses, hitting on women, and then posting the interactions online and like shaming them for not being into some creep with glasses.
and he goes into all these details about how he wanted, what kind of porn he wanted, and that it needed to have like penetration. I don't know if I can say penetration. That's a disgusting word. I'm sorry.
You are listening to Canadian Gothic.
Ms. Madelayne Klein, can you believe we're here for volume 32 of Encounters with Creeps? That means we're well over 30 hours of listening to listeners describe their most uncomfortable encounters with the creepy, freaky people that are all around us. Can you believe we're this far into Encounters with Creeps?
Yes and no. I'm just surprised at the broad spectrum of creeps that we've discovered.
It is wild. The spectrum of fetishes always surprises me. You're going to hear a really interesting one tonight. One of the stories we have later today, if it is a fetish story, is one of the most unusual I've ever heard. But you talk about how many creeps are out there, and this week, as we always do on Encounters with Creeps, is we're going to hear some stories of creeps in the news, or as I've always called them, contemporary creeps. I've pulled two right out of your province of Saskatchewan.
Oh, lovely.
Later tonight, we're going to hear one maybe right from your backyard, because we do have perhaps the creepiest person in Regina, Saskatchewan to talk about a little later. But let's open the show with a creep out of Saskatoon. When I say the prolific voyeur of Saskatoon, do you have any idea of who or what I'm talking about?
I think I do, actually. I feel like I just read something about this not long ago.
I'll tell you a bit about him. To call Saskatoon's Kyle Hamelick a prolific creep would be an incredible understatement. The 37-year-old man has a criminal history of voyeurism and voyeurism-related offenses that dates back over a decade and includes nearly 100 convictions of voyeurism, indecent acts like exposing himself and masturbating in public, and of course many counts of trespassing at night. He's already served 3 sentences in 2017, 2020, and 2022, and given how close those sentences are together, most of the crimes he committed, he did so while on release orders or on probation. Most recently, Kyle Hamelick pled guilty to 25 charges stemming from incidents in late 2024 and early 2025, when again he was convicted of secretly filming a variety of women on the east side of Saskatoon City through bedrooms, bathrooms, and living room windows, catching them in various states of undress. He did some prison time for that, but as you can guess, again, he's being released. And the Saskatoon police are warning people about it. I'm going to play you a short news clip about the release of Saskatoon's prolific voyeur.
Police say they're releasing this photo of him out of caution and concern for his potential to reoffend. They say the 37-year-old has been previously convicted of 70 incidents of voyeurism, indecent acts, and trespassing at night. His sentence was among the longest handed down for voyeurism alone.
The maximum I found was 2 years. A lot of those cases were in conjunction with other offenses, other sexual-related offenses, which bumped those sentences a lot higher.
Hamelick is expected to reside in Saskatoon. He's described as 5'10" and 155 pounds, with brown hair, butt balding, and green eyes. He has several tattoos of mushrooms and one of railroad tracks. As part of his probation, Hamelick is banned from owning a phone or any electronic device capable of taking photos or videos. He also has a 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew for the first year. Police say if a person is aware of any violations relating to Hamelick's actions, do not approach and contact them immediately.
I'm sure his 150th chance will be the one that works out. You feel good about this?
Yeah, like I got a good feeling about this time. I just,
This one?
like, clearly nothing is going to change. Have we tried chemical castration?
I don't know.
Perhaps that would work.
At this point, yeah, I didn't realize that you could do this over and over again. And he's already at the point where he's got the longest sentence in Canada for voyeurism alone, which is only like, I think it's 2 years and 10 months. but the credit he got for time served led to him only being in prison for like 7 or 8 months or something like that. So he's done next to no time. And when you look at his criminal history, for the last 10 years, it seems like all this person has done is peek in windows of homes trying to take pictures and film women getting changed. Like, at what point does something happen? But here's the update I have for you is, so that warning comes out. They let everybody in Saskatoon know, like, this guy's coming out again. And people in Saskatoon already know about this guy because he's infamous in the city for being, again, like Canada's most prolific voyeur.
Super creep.
He's released with this warning all over the news in Saskatoon. He had 3 major conditions. He had to be in this specific residence, like his home, from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day, so he couldn't be out at night, basically. He couldn't contact any of his prior victims, and he couldn't have a cell phone. Those were the 3 conditions they gave him. Or he couldn't have a cell phone or anything that could take pictures. Couldn't have a camera. It sucks when you have, like, when you're so dangerous that you're not even allowed to have a camera, but that was him.
And there's cameras in everything now?
Yeah, so he gets out of prison. This warning is issued. Only hours later, there was an update. I'll just read you a little bit of a news report from later that day. Kyle Hamelic is back in custody just hours after being released from jail. The 37-year-old Saskatoon man had been released on Saturday after serving part of a sentence related to multiple voyeurism offenses involving secretly filming women through windows of their homes at night. Later the same evening, police arrested him in the 200 block of First Avenue. Investigators allege he breached the terms of his release by possessing a cell phone, something he was strictly prohibited from doing. Hamelic appeared briefly in Saskatoon Provincial Court by video link on Tuesday morning and is remanded into custody. So this guy, the first thing he does when he gets out seems to be get a cell phone and get busted with it.
Like, he went from the prison and, like, skipped merrily to go and get a cell phone. And I love how they knew he was going to do something stupid. So they were like, yeah, maybe, like, do a drive-by in, like, 3 or 4 hours. And lo and behold.
Yeah, I wonder how they caught him. Like, I wonder how they found out if they, because the police would be allowed to just do random checks. That was a part of the release as well, as he had to agree to, like, random checks. So I wonder if the very first night at about 6 p.m., so, like, probably, like, 7 or 8 hours after he was released, a cop probably knocked on his door and was like, let me check your pockets, Kyle.
He probably answered the door with the phone in his hand.
Yeah, watching sketchy videos. But
well, I was just going to say, with God knows what was up on Safari, like...
terrifying that this happens, but the voyeur and the people who peek in windows and take pictures of women getting changed, or go in stores and, like, take videos and pictures of women and stuff, like, that is so common, and it's getting so much easier with technology.
Yeah.
And it's easier for these perverts to find each other online and share this stuff.
That's one of the bad things about the internet. Like, there are great things and terrible things about the internet. And one of the terrible things is it's just like a mecca for weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the possibilities with the internet are just so huge. There's so much great things you could do. It could change humanity for the better in every imaginable way, it seems. Yet almost every story you hear about the internet is a negative story. And you're like, wow, people are so depraved that they come up with, doing that on the internet. Which leads me to our next story.
No.
Our first listener we're going to hear from is letting us know about a creep in the news in her town, in the interesting way he uses technology to harass and terrorize women. Listen to this.
oh God.
Hey, Jordan and Madelayne. I just wanted to bring a creep that is in the news here in Vancouver to your attention. He is wearing the Meta AI recording glasses, hitting on women, and then posting the interactions online and, like, shaming them for not being into some creep with glasses. I thought he would be a good contender for your contemporary creep.
I did a bit of research on what's going on here. I'm going to play a short news clip of exactly what she's talking about. That'll give us a bit more information on I don't know if this is a creep or the biggest loser in Canada. Perhaps he's straddling the line between the two. Here he comes.
Striking out while approaching women is nothing new. But covertly recording video of the interaction and then posting it online is a new fad.
You're beautiful.
And it's happening regularly in downtown Vancouver.
When I saw it, I was in shock, and it definitely brought up a lot of anxiety.
Cassie Zanjani had no idea she'd been recorded until a friend sent her a link to a video with thousands of views.
I felt quite humiliated, as I felt like the intention behind this was to degrade women, as well as being intoxicated myself that night. It doesn't put me in the best light.
Local women are becoming aware of the situation after seeing posts at Vancouver locations on social media.
It doesn't matter. She's so f***ing gorgeous. Doesn't matter if I'm recording or not.
There's no shortage of examples online.
She's the prettiest girl in all Miami.
Some even linking to the high-tech glasses they're using. Meta's smart glasses continue to evolve with powerful AI features and even solutions for people with disabilities.
Real-life subtitles.
The technology has prompted fierce debate among content creators. While filming with a camera or smartphone is obvious, using glasses isn't.
It's maybe for some seeing this as some sort of like viral, cheap click kind of video that's maybe funny to them. It's actually really violating for the person that it's happening to.
A first-hand warning about this new technology and its potential impacts.
Of course, that someone would use that technology for that purpose. For people who are unfamiliar with the Meta AI glasses, they basically look like Ray-Bans, like regular sunglasses, except there's a little camera on like kind of like the I guess where like the frame of the glasses meets like the arm, that part there. There's a little camera there that shoots in high resolution, like high def video. And most people don't even know these exist. So you could be wearing what look like sunglasses and like live streaming it or filming the interactions. And what this guy seems to be doing in Vancouver is roaming around at night when girls are coming and going from the bars and just chatting with them, hitting on them, telling them they're gorgeous, and posting the interactions online.
I can rest knowing that the comments never go the way he thinks they're going to go.
I hope not.
And I would also like to point out and just give praise to the amount of shade these news broadcasters are bringing today. First, Kyle Hamiluk has brown hair but is balding. And now this one, they opened the segment with striking out is nothing new.
Yeah, this guy does it all the time. This guy has monetized striking out.
Like, this is perfect and exactly what they deserve.
Yeah.
But it's just so odd. And these glasses aren't like they're what, $500-700? Like, they're not super expensive. More and more people are going to be having them now. And I just think this whole situation just reeks of misogyny. And but yeah, I can rest knowing that I'll bet you the comments do not go the way he plans.
I see it as almost like a trashy version of, I don't know her real name, but people call her Hawk Tua.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she kind of became famous because she was just this casual interview outside of a bar where she probably had a few drinks and just said this unhinged stuff and became a celebrity as a result of that. I think what he's trying to do in Vancouver is just like almost like the idiot's version of that. He's just going up and chatting with people, saying weird stuff, getting their reactions and just putting it up there. But it seems like it's a bit more degrading and...
Well, she knew, Hawk to a girl, she knew she was being filmed and interviewed, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's true. There was
that's
like
the
a
biggest
host.
difference. I think
that's a good point.
this guy's like, he's trying to just, it's giving incel. He's trying to be like, oh, look at all these girls rejecting me after what a nice guy I've been.
That's awful. But your point before we went into that story was this idea of like how awful the internet could be in contrast to the possibilities it presents. Like these AI Meta glasses, it's a great technology. It could have these great benefits for people who could use like accessibility features, like having like real-time subtitles popping up on your glasses and all this sort of stuff. Like it could be this amazing technology. But the way you're going to hear about it is the creep in Vancouver who's just bothering women and posting it online. And, and it's a shame that the law hasn't caught up to this sort of thing because what he's doing seems to be completely legal. Like if you're out in public, someone can just film you and post it online. But it's one thing if they're holding a phone in front of your face or a camera or a GoPro. At least, you don't want them to film you, but at least you are.
You're aware.
With this, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's part of it. Like he wants a real reaction to try and maybe make his subject look bad or worse in his opinion. But yeah, that's just so weird and icky.
For sure.
So
we spent a lot of time talking about contemporary creeps. Let's take our first break, and when we get into the listener-contributed encounters with creeps, I promise you they will blow your mind. The first two stories are going to be creeps at work, and they're good ones. Let's get into the listener-contributed encounters with creeps after this short break. Madelayne, during our 32 now episodes of Encounters with Creeps, we've heard creep encounters and weird people in all sorts of situations. Weird neighbors, weird first dates, weird roommates, weird random people on the street. Something we heard a lot of was weird customers at your place of work. And that's what we're going to open the show with tonight. We have two stories of creeps appearing at your job. Let's start with a listener named Brooke. She's responding to something we talked about, I think in Encounters with Creeps Volume 30. We talked about creeps coming into video stores to rent dirty movies.
yes.
Brooke has a story about her time working at a video store. Her video store didn't have one of those like adults only back rooms. And that's kind of what leads to the creep encounter. A perverted Karen didn't like that.
The beaded curtain of curiosity.
Hi guys, my name is Brooke. In episode 30 of Creep Encounters, you wanted movie store, like rental places, horror stories, and I worked at one when I was in high school in southeastern Ontario. This was like circa 2014. It was my second day on the shift. This particular movie store did not have like a quote-unquote back room. At 15, didn't even know what that back room would have been for, but we did have like a small section of like soft adult films, like Playboy Mansion movies and Girls Gone Wild movies. Nothing intense at all. But this guy comes up to me my second day at work. I'm restocking movies, and he's like, I want to see the back room. And he's pointing at the door that goes out to the back parking lot. And I said, that's a parking lot door, sir. And he's like, well, no. And he goes into all these details about how he wanted, like, what kind of porn he wanted. And that it needed to have, like, penetration. I don't know if I can say penetration. That's a disgusting word. I'm sorry. But he wanted, like, actual porn. Again, this is 2014. The internet's a whole ass thing. You could have found porn on the internet. I don't know why he needed to come to the movie rental store to have this conversation with my 14-year-old self. But he did. I'm like, sir, like, there's no room back there. And he's like, well, I'm going to go talk to the manager. Like, I know the owner. I know there's a room back there. So I tried not to think too much about it because, like, weird things happen in movie stores. I learned that literally my first night, but this is something else. So I try to forget about it. So the store closes at midnight or 1 o'clock, and my dad picks me up because, again, I'm fucking 15, 2014. So I was 15, and my dad picks me up because I didn't have a driver's license, and I'm retelling my dad this whole story. And he's like, I'm like, Dad, what's the back room? Like, what? I don't understand what he wanted. Like, there's nothing back there. And he's killing himself laughing. And he's like, no, babe, they wanted the porn room. And then he explains everything about this room that existed in other movie stores. And I just thought it was funny because Jordan mentioned in that episode that the movie rental store that he used to go to had like a beaded curtain. And that was a big point in what my dad had to say about the back rooms in movie rental stores he went to in the 80s and 90s. So I guess that's like a trend across the board. But anyways, I am a big fan. I hope you guys keep making these.
I wonder what percentage of like beaded curtain sales throughout the 80s and 90s went to like video store rental places to cover up their dirty movies and, college students who smoked way too much pot.
That'd be an interesting bunch of information to gather.
Other than that, I don't think any use of them. But this guy goes into the store. He's looking for a dirty movie. The best he can find is like Girls Gone Wild and the Playboy Mansion tour video, I guess. And he wants something with penetration,
Oh,
and he thinks it's appropriate to go ask the 14 or 15-year-old worker, not ask. Seems like he got mad and demanded the manager, which is,
as if they're like gatekeeping the porn.
yeah, I know the guy who owns this place. Take me. I wish she had have had Ray-Ban glasses, Meta glasses, because I would have loved to shame this guy.
That's the time these glasses are needed.
Mhm.
So Brooke mentioned this twice, and I'm glad that she did because I was going to bring it up too. This happened in 2014. So
Mhm.
right away, I'm surprised. I was like, my God, video rental stores still existed in 2014, but I guess it is Southern Ontario.
Yeah, she said I lived in like a small town, so I'm
Were they
guessing this is.
VHSs or
Oh,
DVD?
I wonder, but this would have been one of the last video rental
Oh, for
stores, I'm sure.
sure.
Like at 2014, Blockbuster and all that would have been gone. So this was probably just hanging by a thread, renting videos to, the holdouts with the DVD players. And this pervert didn't. I don't know, pervert. This moron didn't know how to get his dirty movies online, so he's there
Um,
bothering this kid.
no, the fact that he confronted her about the porn room that didn't exist and then went into details about what he would like to view, that makes him a pervert.
Yeah, good point.
And remember, this is 2014. So the internet has been around for 30 years. No
Absolutely.
excuse.
There is no
No
excuse.
excuse.
Yeah. And she is so young and innocent that she didn't even know what he was talking about. Like she
Right.
didn't get that there was this back room in some movie stores in the 80s and 90s.
I quickly did the math. Right as soon as she said, like, this happened in 2014, she was born in either 99 or 2000.
Oh, wow.
When 9/11 happened, she was in diapers. So,
Wow. Yeah.
like the fact she doesn't know what it is super on brand because
Mhm.
those stopped being a thing probably in the late 90s.
Yeah, what a weird story.
God.
I would like to hear her other stories about working at a movie store. Anyone out there, like we've called out in episode 30, but I'm going to reignite that call out in episode 32 of Encounters with Creeps. If you worked at a video store, I would like to hear your stories. I have such nostalgia for video rental stores. That was such a big part of my life for the first probably 15, 16 years of my life. So I'd like to hear any stories about creeps at video rental stores, weirdos, or just odd, unusual things that happen in video rental stores. But let's get to our next story because this next one's a real good one. I mentioned at the beginning that we may hear the strangest fetish we've ever heard. If this is
Oh
a
gosh.
fetish, which it seems to me that it may be, it is one for the ages. Let's hear about James, a grocery store in Edmonton, and the maybe weirdest fetish ever. Here it comes.
Hey guys, my name's James. I'm from Edmonton. Um, when I was about 20 years ago, I worked in a grocery store and I had a creep encounter that was kind of interesting. I thought I'd share it. So I worked in the deli, which was sort of right in the front entrance of the store. So you'd often see people coming in and out. And I noticed this one guy would come in sometimes. He seemed to be kind of like a regular shopper there. And he had a vision impairment of some kind because he would walk with a little walking stick and often would get one of the cashiers to walk him around the store and help pick his groceries. I didn't think too much of it at the time, other than that it was interesting that he always seemed to choose the most conventionally attractive cashier girl. You know, these are often teen or 20s girls that worked in the cashier area, and he always seemed to find the one that was like, it was just interesting to see who he seemed to always get to walk him around. It's like he had his favorites. So, anyways, one day I'm working and he comes up to the counter and I'm already serving a customer and he taps on the glass with his stick and I turned and I said, "Yeah, I'll be with you in just a second." And he said, "No, you're gonna serve me right fucking now." And I looked at him like, whoa. And the lady that I was serving kind of stopped. And one of my colleagues came over and said, "You know what, I'll help out this lady if you want to help him." Because I think they were trying to avoid having to deal with him too. So I said, "Sure, okay, what can I do for you?" And he wanted a couple things from the deli. And then he said, "I want you to get one of the cashiers down here to walk me around the store." So I go over to the phone and I call the front desk, customer service, and say, "Hey, there's somebody here that needs help." And they kind of look over and say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I know who it is. We'll call one of the girls down." So I go back to him and I say, "Yeah, she's coming. She's going to be here in just a couple seconds." And he goes, "One, two, don't see her, fuck face." And I'm like, dude, I didn't mean literally 2 seconds, but she's on her way. And he's like, well, then you should pick your words more carefully. And he was just like super hostile, super angry. And I think I don't know if I'd ever interacted with him before this, but um, it was like completely out of nowhere. And so I was kind of just shocked. So I kind of, bit my tongue, and thankfully the girl came and she took him off and walked him around the store. And I asked her afterwards, I said, is he really normally rude like that? And she said, no, it's kind of, some days he is, some days he isn't. But I said, does he always pick you to walk him around the store? And like, what does he need? She's like, yeah, he likes me or one of the other girls to like grab things off the shelves. And he seems to always she's like, it is a little creepy because he's always kind of like rubbing up against us when we hold his arm. And this guy wasn't a super old guy. He was probably in his 50s and relatively young looking. So it was just odd, right? Anyways, that was sort of the extent of the interaction in the store. And then about a month later, I'm taking public transit in the same area, and I see him get on the train on the LRT, and he's not blind at all. He completely has good vision. He's not using his stick. He's walking around, clearly seeing where he's going to and coming from. So I'm pretty sure he was coming into the store faking that he was blind just so that he could touch these girls and have them, help him. And then also he's a total jerk too. So those two things together, I thought he made for a good creep story.
He makes for a bad creep story. This guy is unhinged. To add like the perversion, the dishonesty, and then the aggressive, like hostile nature.
Abuse?
Yeah, it's shocking. And I can imagine what he was doing. Like, I want that can on the very top shelf. Reach for it. She said, how do you know it's up there? I was told.
Ugh. I know he said it was 20 years ago and it is a different time, but like, I wish people wouldn't take that. I'd be like, no, like, you don't talk to me like that.
I could see how you'd be put off a bit, though, if you sensed a disability, though. I think I'd be more patient if I was like, this guy's like, he's got stuff going on. It's unfortunate. And I don't know how that could affect you. So let's just see what we can do to help this guy. So I think if this is some kind of weird fetishy kind of thing, and he's taking advantage of the goodwill and patience we would show someone with a disability and maybe a mental illness, that just makes it so much worse. And to use that to just simply rub up against a young girl, get them to reach up high and stretch in front of you,
waste her time.
Yeah, this guy's nasty. And obviously this man has no patience for the male workers because he's an absolute prick by the sounds of it.
And that just makes it somehow even more gross. Ugh. Yucky.
Yeah, and if this is one interaction we hear about with this guy, I guarantee, like, if we had a photo of him and could show it to people, I bet you there's countless stories about the crazy stuff this guy did and does. And if we knew his name, I bet you there'd be some interesting Google results.
I was just gonna say, like, he for sure has an assault charge or two. Mm-hmm. I'd bet my left kidney. I'm so sure.
Does it surprise you someone would pretend to be blind? Because it's when I heard this story, I was like, oh my God. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, that probably happens a lot.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
No. 32 episodes in this. This is like crushing my soul. If we get to episode 100 of Encounters with Creeps, I'm going to be a different person.
Yeah. And just as someone who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, likes to stay informed, people suck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So none of this surprises me.
And it only gets worse and worse.
It only gets worse. Exactly.
We're going to switch from creeps at work to another kind of theme here. Two of the creep encounters we're going to hear both involve early morning encounters with creeps. And I think that's unique because a lot of creepy stuff, they say the freaks come out at night. You often think like, don't be alone late at night walking in the street. There's so many freaks out there. The next two stories will illustrate that creeps, too, are out early in the morning. But that said, I guess really late at night for some people become the morning for other people. So there is like a bit of a gray area there. But let's hear two creeps that are out way too early to be doing this creepy stuff. Let's start with the story of Emma, who lost her innocence while emptying garbage cans in a Windsor, Ontario park.
Oh my God.
If you have kids in the room, plug their ears for this one. But I do hope you're not listening to Encounters with Creeps with children. Here's what happened to Emma.
Hi, Jordan and Madelayne. My name's Emma, and I'm from Windsor, Ontario. I have a creep story that I thought of while I was just out for a little walk. Possibly a creep, possibly a weirdo. I don't know. Anyways, so a couple years ago, I used to work at a city park, cutting grass and checking the garbages and all that kind of stuff. So the one day, it was like, like maybe like 8 in the morning, and we're driving around the park on a side by side, me and one of the other guys I was working with. And we used to go check all the garbages, just make sure none of them were overflowing. So we come into the one parking lot, and there's like nobody in this parking lot but one car. And it's directly in front of one of the garbage cans. So I'm like, I don't see anyone in the car from far away. So I'm like, okay. And I start driving up towards the car. And I'm driving, and I can't see anyone in the car. So I'm like, whatever. Keep driving. And my friend, who's on the side by side next to me, all of a sudden starts like tapping me and saying, Emma, stop, stop, stop. And I'm like, what? What? And I look, and the reason I didn't see anyone was because the guy, his seat was like reclined so far back that he was like in the back seat, and he had all his windows open. And I look, and there's like the ponytail back of the head of a woman bobbing up and down in the front seat. And he like looks at us and smiles. And I slam on the brakes and drove away. Like, what? Anyways, I feel like the worst part of it was that it was like 8 in the morning, so I wasn't prepared to see that. But yeah, anyways, thanks for listening to one of my creep stories.
It just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah. She says the worst part is that it was the morning. I think the worst part is that he like stared, made eye contact, and smiled.
So eye contact, that's definitely the worst part of the story. When all the windows down, it is like tied for number one. What are you doing? Why are all your windows down? And I need to know what day it was.
Why is that?
Was it a weekday? Was this like, were they out the night before and this was, carried on into the next morning? Or is someone cheating on their spouse?
Oh, before work kind of thing. Yeah, like if this is a Tuesday morning, it's different than if it's a Sunday morning. Is that what you're thinking?
That's right. Well, I mean, like it could still be on a Sunday, but just if it's a weekday morning, that smells of adultery.
That changes things. I don't know why the windows would be down. I can see like this kind of stuff happens a lot. People go parking or whatever in a private area, like a national park or provincial park or wherever this was. I have a few things. One is you'd think you'd still be discreet by, you see she described it as a side by side. It's basically her and a coworker on like a large motorcycle driving around emptying the garbage. Why wouldn't they have been like, whoa, someone's coming?
Yeah, those things were loud and she didn't stop.
Is it a creep or a weirdo?
Because see, I would give them a mulligan altogether had he not looked and smiled. I would have been like, you know what? Like, life happens. Life's crazy. They ended up there at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. So be it. I wish them the best. But when he looked at her and smiled, he totally crossed into creep territory. That's weird. That's when you're in a situation like that, as a rule, it's an intimate situation that you like don't really want to share with others. So, I mean, whatever blows your skirt up. But that was weird. At least roll your windows up, all of them down, really.
Let's move to our last story that takes place during the early morning. This involves a listener named Holly, who's a literal creep magnet. Not a creep magnet in the way that she attracts a lot of creeps, but a creep magnet in a way that this specific creep seemed drawn to her and simply couldn't look away from her. Listen to this early morning creep in Vancouver.
Hi, Jordan and Madelayne. This one is for encounters with creeps. My name is Holly. I'm calling from Vancouver Island in British Columbia. And I used to work in the downtown core. And I would have to get up pretty early to arrive on time for my shift, which started at 7 in the morning downtown. I would probably arrive at 6:45, something like that. And I would have to park relatively far from my work and walk like, I don't know, 10 minutes, just so I could get cheap parking. Anyway, one morning when I was walking to work from my parking location, I was alone, and a kind of really disheveled, kind of homeless looking man came up to me, and he was holding some long object, like, I don't know, a stick or a pipe of some sort. And he was just like staring at me. He was maybe walking towards me from a different direction. He literally locked eyes with me. I saw him look into my eyes, and then his gaze just didn't leave my face, even though I looked away. And he didn't say anything to me. He came and he stood in front of me. We kind of met on the corner where there is a crosswalk across the street. I was intending on crossing the street. He just stood in front of me, staring at me like I've never been looked at in such a way before. It was very uncomfortable. And I tried to step to the side, and he stepped to the side, and I tried to get around him, and he just kind of matched my steps. Thank God somebody drove by because they noticed that this guy was bothering me, and they got out of their car, and they actually walked me to my place of work. But the whole experience was really, really frightening. If somebody hadn't have been there, I don't know what would have happened. But anyways, after that, I started taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes and have been ever since. So hopefully if I ever meet a stranger on the curb that's coming for me, I can handle it myself. But anyways, thanks for listening, and I really love the show. Thanks, bye.
Yeah, if it happens again, he's getting choked out by the sounds of it, or getting his arm snapped.
And rightfully so. Oh, that would be so scary. Just like creeps in general are obviously very scary. But like he didn't say anything. Like it's the physical physicality, is that a word? It's just it was physical right off the hop, and I don't like that.
He just picked her out for some reason. As she's trying to walk past, he's just stepping in front of her.
Yeah.
And just won't take his eyes off her. It sounds like some of these stories, it just takes me to like a horror movie. And this guy sounds a bit like a demon or a ghost or something. And yeah, alone early in the morning would have been terrifying. But somebody driving by recognized what was happening and did the right thing to get out and put themselves in harm's way and escort her to work. So my hat's off to whoever jumped out and helped her that day, because that sucks.
And like what timing, and especially to drive by and see that and immediately know in the fraction of a second that like something's not right. And it's not just general people living. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like this person spotted it and clocked it right away. They were like, oh no.
Yeah. And this person also probably got somewhere they got to be. If you're out driving, downtown at 7 a.m, you're on your way to work, but they did the right thing and pulled over and helped out. So I like that.
Me too.
Let's wrap up this segment of the show, take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to tell you a story about perhaps the biggest creep in your town of Regina. We got one last contemporary creep, and this one is right from your backyard, and it's a doozy.
I have been waiting for this one.
We'll get into it after a short break.
Perfect.
So, Madelayne, you famously live in Regina, Saskatchewan, and I think you're going to feel a little worse about it after this contemporary creep. I don't know if you know that this has been happening in your town, but a news story caught my eye last week out of Regina. Let me read you a bit about it. A Regina man has been sentenced to 10 months in jail following a disturbing incident that came to the police attention through an overseas tip. Court heard that on July 28th of 2025, a 52-year-old man used an online video chat platform that connects strangers across the world. During the live stream, he appeared nude and was masturbating while a 5-year-old girl was asleep in the bed in the same room. The person on the other end of the video call was located in Cyprus. According to the prosecutors, the individual in Cyprus became deeply alarmed by what he was witnessing and began trying to determine where the broadcast was coming from. After gathering information that suggested the man was in Saskatchewan, he contacted police initially in Saskatoon to report this incident. The caller to the Saskatoon police explained that he was concerned about the welfare of a child and explained that he cared deeply about children as he is a professional clown. Investigators later determined the man involved in the video chat was located in the city of Regina. Police attended a residence and found the suspect asleep, naked, in the bedroom where the young girl was also asleep, naked. There's a publication ban in place preventing the release of any information that could identify the man or the child. The man was initially charged with making child sexual abuse material and exposing himself for a sexual purpose. However, after pleading guilty to the exposure charge, the child exploitation charge was withdrawn. The man was sentenced to 9 months in custody, followed by 2 years of probation. As part of his probation conditions, the man is prohibited from having contact with anyone under the age of 16 unless he is supervised by a sober adult who is aware of his conviction and probation order. He's also banned from attending parks, playgrounds, swimming pools, and other places where children are likely to be present. The court also ordered that he must not possess or access pornography and cannot use devices capable of storing digital data unless required for work or education, and only while on those premises. So have you heard anything about the pervert using the random video chat and exposing himself to a clown in Cyprus from your town?
No. How? Like, this is insane. And that poor little girl, death penalty,
Yeah,
9 months.
I know, 9 months. But I wondered, like, I don't know the details of the whole thing, but fortunately, it seemed like the girl, aside from being asleep in the room and appearing on the video chat, it seemed like at least she wasn't involved with what was happening, I guess.
But she was naked.
Oh, she was naked when the police arrived and found her, I think. Like, very little is out there
Well,
about
that's
this.
probably not good either.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing is not good. And I'm far from saying there's anything good about this whole story. What are the chances it's a clown in Cyprus? And why does that make it into the court documents? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
'cause-
Like, well, God bless this person for, like, somehow getting the IP address and narrowing it down.
Yeah, I wonder how that
Because I feel
happened.
like a lot of people wouldn't go through all that trouble.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's super gross and scary. But yeah, I also love that he's like, I love kids. I'm a clown.
I'm a clown. I'm a professional
Oh.
clown. There's nothing weird about me. Yeah,
My grade 12 Christian ethics teacher was a clown, and I think
really?
he still is actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Much like
I guess they're very passionate.
like many people, I am freaked out by the idea of like a adult who works as a clown. I don't trust it. But in
Well,
this
given
case,
the history of Cape Breton clowns, I
yeah,
don't
that's true.
blame you.
But this guy, sir, in Cyprus, seemed to do the right thing. For people, I
Yeah.
said at the beginning, like a lot of people aren't aware of like the Meta AI glasses and that you can, that those are a thing and that are out there. A lot of people also don't realize that there's people who go on the internet and I don't know the names of the website or the social media platform or whatever it is, but you just get linked up with a completely random person in the other part of the world. Is it called Omegle? Is that the name?
I think that's one of them. That might be, like, I remember Omegle from back in the day, and Chat Roulette.
Yeah, Chat Roulette
was another one.
I think that was one of the first ones, and it's basically you just sit in front of your webcam and you just get linked up with some random person. And I thought you wouldn't know anything about the other person, like other than like a username. And that's what surprised me about how they managed to find this person. Because at least in the
Right.
early days of like the Chat Roulette style stuff, it was like kind of completely anonymous. So it was the Wild West, which is
Unless you were screen recording, I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
was like you couldn't find them.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to review some of the court documents. There's the publication ban makes it so that very little of this would ever become public, but I would like to know how they found this guy because there's probably a story there. And I just wonder
Yeah.
if the fella in Cyprus, like what lengths he went to figure out who this guy was and report him.
And keep in mind, there's a publication ban on it because they obviously want to protect the identity of the victim.
Yeah.
But that means they probably have the same last name,
Yeah,
which makes this disgusting and horrible thing somehow even like grosser.
yeah. That's a dark one. But
Yeah.
when I saw Regina, I thought, oh God, Madelayne's not going to like this.
No, I don't like that. And now I'm pissed off.
Yeah. Well,
You ruined my whole Sunday.
I'm sorry. We have a listener named Jenny who wanted to write in not to share a creep encounter story, but suggest a spin-off idea or perhaps a creep encounter special. And it's a great suggestion because given some of the stuff we talked about today and the legal elements at play in these stories, I think she makes some good points. Listen to Jenny's thoughts and let me know what you think of this.
Hi guys, it's Jenny. I'm calling from Aberdeenshire in the northeast of Scotland, and I have a suggestion for a spin-off episode from Creep Encounters, which I think would be really interesting. It would be great if you could get a legal expert who specialises in this area of law to come on and speak to us all about what is actually illegal, what turns something from just being creepy into an offence, whether that's harassment, indecency, whatever it may be. Obviously, you guys are in Canada, so the legal expert might be talking mostly about Canadian law, but I still think that would be really interesting. And in your recent episode, you talked about chemical castration. Is that being used as a punishment? If not, why not? Again, it would be really interesting to hear a legal expert talking about that. Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Chemical castration comes up quite often in these episodes.
Well, it is, we're talking about creeps and they go hand in hand. So, well, what should happen?
But they should go hand in hand.
They should go
I think that's a great idea.
Me too. And I know a lawyer in Halifax.
Really? Okay. Let's put it out to the listeners. If you listen to Creep Encounters and you would like to get a legal take on where the line is between being a weirdo and either indecent exposure, criminal harassment, where that line is, if you would like to hear that discussed, let us know, because I would be interested in that. Like,
Me
for
too.
example, the guy, the man and the woman, I'm assuming, who were in that park that morning, is that not some kind of like indecent exposure thing? I guess she didn't specifically see his penis. But
still, you can't be doing that in public.
And then what about the guy at the video store who went up to like a 14 or 15-year-old girl and explained what kind of pornography he wanted to watch?
Yeah, that's got to be illegal. That's got to be sexual harassment or something.
It would be an interesting case if it was, though, because she was working there and the question was about video rentals.
Oh,
so I want like that would have been a complicated one.
This is such a good idea. I hope we do this. Maybe we can get a panel of lawyers on.
We play the creep story. You and I decide if it is or is not a creep, and then they would decide how they could be prosecuted.
This could be so fun, Jordan. We could make like a game show out of it.
It would. And then the guy pretending to be blind. Like, what would that has to be illegal.
I wonder.
Good work, Jenny. Great. Why didn't we think of that? We're on episode 32.
Right? Why didn't you call earlier?
Yeah, for real. I got a great palate cleanser. We've heard so many creep stories, so much disturbing stuff. We have a story that starts as a creep encounter, but ends as a pretty lighthearted palate cleanser to wrap this whole thing up. Here, this is the story of Lauren from Cape Breton's beautiful ass.
Nice.
Hello, Jordan and Madelayne. It's Lauren calling from Sydney, Nova Scotia. I've been holding on to this Encounters with Creeps story for a while now. It's actually a funny story that has a twist at the end. But anyways, the story goes, I was in my early 20s and I worked in a tourist shop down at the Joan Harris Cruise Pavilion. So I worked with cruise ship passengers who came into our town. And on this one day, I was getting ready for the day. It was very early in the morning. I was getting the sweaters and jackets all put out and folded. And the cruise ship's passengers started to come off the ship, and a gentleman came up to me and he said, he was Southern, and he said to me, "I love your ass." And I said, "Excuse me, sir?" And he said again, "I love your ass." And I said, "Sir, excuse me?" And he said, "Your eyes," and pointed up at his eyes. So in that moment, I thought he was telling me that he loved my ass. So what started as an Encounters with Creeps ended in a complete misunderstanding because of an accent.
I could see how that could happen. In listening to her story the first time, I thought she was saying, "I love your ass." But now when I listen to it for the second and third time for that voicemail, I can hear her saying, "ass."
Yeah.
That
oh,
Southern
that's
drawl.
so cute.
I can see how that could happen. That could have been way worse had she had flipped out or slapped him.
Oh yeah. And like the poor guy, he's like, what is she not understanding?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I guess he shouldn't be telling her he loves her eyes. But
you know what? There's something about a southern accent.
you'll
I'll
allow it?
allow compliments from southern men.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, we've been through a lot tonight. I think we had some great creep encounter stories from listeners. We had some really interesting cases in the news, from Canada's most prolific voyeur to Regina's weirdest creep. I think we've gone through a lot tonight. Encounters with Creep 32 is one of my favorite encounters with creeps yet.
Me too. I say it after every episode, but as always, this was a great one.
If anyone out there has a story to share or wants to give any feedback or opinions on anything we talked about during this episode, go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact, send us a voicemail. And as I always say, if your voice is aired on the show, you qualify for a Canadian Gothic swag pack. Go to that same website, thecanadiangothic.com/contact, and there's a little form you fill out to give me your address. I'll send a thank you to you right away. So if you got something to share, go do it right now. But I think we can wrap this up, Madelayne.
Yeah, for once in my life, I don't think I have anything else to say.
I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of Canadian Gothic. To everyone who shared their stories tonight, I want to give you a huge and sincere thank you. Your stories, as always, are an entertaining way to remind us to keep our eyes open and our wits about us. And to anyone else out there who has a story to share, we'd love to hear it. Go to the site now, thecanadiangothic.com/contact, and use the voice recorder. It's easy to use, and don't worry if you make any mistakes or misspeak, as I'll edit before it goes to air and make sure we all sound our best. We're excited to hear from you. Now, with that said, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we do, I have a few more thanks to pass out. First, a big thank you to Madelayne, Monty, Datta, who contributes the music, and Linz from the Dystopian Simulation podcast, who provides my intro and outro voiceovers. And then lastly, but most importantly, a massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening, as without your interest, the Canadian Gothic would be as pointless as it would be impossible. Now, on the topic of support, let me thank the newest subscribers to the premium feed, Asin, Emil, and Phantom Punkcat. We appreciate you. And for anyone else who'd like to support the show, you can help us out here in a variety of ways. First of all, a premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes 2 days early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a back catalog of episodes. If that interests you, you can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode with all your like-minded friends and letting them know they should listen. Your support is very much appreciated. Now, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and let us know if you see anything weird.
Thank you for listening to Canadian Gothic.